A long time ago, in a land called Israel, there lived a young shepherd boy named David. David was the youngest of 8 brothers. While his older brothers were soldiers in King Saul's army, David stayed at home to take care of his father's sheep. Every day, David led his sheep to green fields and cool streams. He loved to play his harp and sing songs to God. David trusted God with all his heart and believed that God would always take care of him. One day, the Israelites were at war with the Philistines. The 2 armies were camped on opposite hills with a wide valley between them. But the Philistines had a secret weapon, a giant named Goliath. Goliath was huge, almost 10 feet tall. He wore heavy bronze armour and carried a giant spear that looked more like a tree trunk. Every morning and evening, Goliath came out and shouted to the Israelites, "Send one man to fight me. If he wins, we will be your servants. But if I win, you will be ours." The soldiers of Israel were terrified. Not even the bravest among them dared to face the giant. For 40 days, Goliath mocked and challenged them, and still no one stepped forward. One day, David's father told him, "Take this bread and cheese to your brothers at the battlefield and see how they are doing." So David packed the food and set off early in the morning. When he arrived, he greeted his brothers and ran to see what was happening. Just then, Goliath came out again, shouting his usual challenge. David listened and was shocked. "Who is this giant that dares to insult the army of the living God?" he asked. David's oldest brother scolded him. "What are you doing here? Go back to your sheep." But David ignored him. He couldn't believe no one was brave enough to fight Goliath. When King Saul heard about the young boy who wanted to face the giant, he sent for David. When David stood before the king, Saul said, "You can't fight this Philistine. You're only a boy, and he's been a warrior all his life." But David replied confidently, "Your Majesty, I take care of my father's sheep. When a lion or a bear comes to attack the flock, I chase it and strike it down. God, who saved me from the lion and the bear, will also save me from this giant." King Saul was amazed by David's courage and faith. "Go," he said, "and may the Lord be with you." Saul tried to dress David in his own armour, but it was too heavy. David could barely move. He smiled and said, "I can't wear this. It's too big for me." So he took off the armour, picked up his sling, and chose 5 smooth stones from a stream. Then, with only his staff, his sling, and his faith in God, David went out to face Goliath. When Goliath saw David walking toward him, he burst out laughing.
"Ha! They send a child to fight me? Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?"
But David wasn't afraid. He looked up at the giant and said, "You come against me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty. Today, everyone will know that God is stronger than any giant." Goliath roared and started to move toward David. But David reached into his pouch, took out a stone, placed it in his sling, and swung it around his head. The stone flew through the air and hit Goliath right in the forehead. The giant's eyes widened in shock, and then he fell to the ground with a mighty thud. The Philistines couldn't believe it. Their great champion was dead. The Israelite soldiers shouted with joy and ran forward, chasing the enemy army away. That day, David became a hero in Israel. But David knew the victory didn't come from his strength or skill. It came from God. He gave all the glory to the Lord, who had helped him defeat the giant. And so, the story of David and Goliath reminds us that no matter how small or weak we may feel, with faith and courage, we can face any challenge. Because when we trust in God, even the biggest giants can fall.